How on earth can you say anything new about change? Discussion and debate about it go back millennia to the era of the great Greek philosophers. More recent times have seen umpteen methods and theories, most of which are variations on a theme of how difficult it is for individuals and organisations to make change. Why is change, especially in business, so often so difficult? The short answer? People. Leading change, especially strategic change, is challenging. Ambitions for seamless change and the abilities to deliver them are usually far apart because far too often we take a simplistic view of complicated human behaviour, made more complicated by organisational systems. The common objective of change projects is some form of gain in performance through either improving effectiveness, doing more of the right things, or increasing efficiency, doing more things right. The challenge is that leading change for performance improvement means plotting a path through many choices, most of which depend on changing human behaviour in some way or another. Let me rephrase that. The path usually depends on confronting human behaviour, or at least that's how it's seen from the perspective of many people who find themselves the subject of change. So leading change is about anticipating the realities of making some form of transformation while reducing or negating tension amongst those who are affected by the change. In action, leading change requires properly establishing the purpose of the proposed change. What happens if we do nothing? What's the vision? What needs to change? We also need to develop momentum through the 3 C's. Communicate, 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 as well as aligning and involving people, providing leadership and support, and instilling a sense of urgency. Designing the change by developing a creative plan with the affected community where possible is also vital. You have to prepare for left field surprises here, and you have to provide support. Next, implementation, the hardest part, especially where change is in the form of what I call tough love. Communication is the key, as is the ability to deal with the unexpected, and then you need to monitor change against objectives. Wherever possible, we can assure successful change by involving stakeholders, although sometimes we simply can't. The most important thing to understand in leading change is that you can't please everyone and that you shouldn't try to. But you should communicate with everyone, ensuring as far as possible that explanations and messages get through. In another life, I led a major change program. The objective was to turn around a substantial operating deficit to a surplus. It meant making redundant 30 employees out of 200 and reducing the range of service offerings. It's not something I'm proud of, it's something I was directed to do. I always thought there was another way, but I was given an instruction, and the other option for me would have been to resign, which would have been pointless and damaging to me personally. The purpose was clear: to bring down operating costs. We wrote a clear and comprehensive case, which can be communicated directly to stakeholders. It was, of course, disputed vociferously. My character, morals and ethics were criticised publicly. I was shouted at, disparaged, but throughout I kept up the communication, conveying the urgency and importance. This was what I called earlier a case of tough love. We involved people as far as possible. We were as creative as we were allowed to be by our managers. We had the odd, interesting dilemma to deal with. In the end, 28 people took redundancy, 27 voluntarily and 1 involuntarily, following a lengthy legal dispute. We substantially reduced the range of services as well, and the enterprise came back in surplus. Would I do anything different? I'm not sure I worked hard enough at communicating the severity of the position at the outset. I think I was a bit too short and sharp. I also think the conversations need to be much fiercer, more candid, yet more empathic. I don't think it would have made much difference to the outcome, but it might have eased the process for those involved. Change is difficult because it's difficult. It's about managing human behaviours, expectations and habits with all of their richness and complications. There's no secret to leading change. Essentially, it's about engagement, involvement, and especially communication. Did I mention communication? To find out how we can help you build your skills in leading strategic change, book a call or email me, clive@clivesmallman.com. I look forward to hearing from you.